Welcome to FPL Bandwagons Gameweek 4. My name is Mark Jobling and I'm here to give you the latest roundup on the world of Fantasy Premier League. Now, it's been 2 weeks since the last episode because we've had two things. We've had the international break and of course we've had transfer deadline day, and there were a late flurry of signings, some of which could affect your FPL plans. For example, David Marshall threatens the Djukupovic budget goalkeeper route, and signings of Slimani, Bonnie's gone to Stoke, so it looks good again. Chadley's going to get games at West Brom, Mustafi at Arsenal, David Luiz at Chelsea, which shocked everyone and proved that money laundering does exist. Jack Wilshere has gone to Bournemouth, and of course Moussa Sissoko has gone to Tottenham. So there's a bit of rotation there for a Champions League squad. Could affect the likes of Lamela, Ericsson, Ali, etc. Another signing which was intriguing right at the end of the transfer window was Loic Remy, who went to Crystal Palace, but it just broke on Thursday that he's actually injured for several months and is now back at Chelsea. But that seems to be the only major injury off the international break. Touch wood. None others have come to mind. Most of the big name players have come back in one piece, and even though the likes of Rashford has scored his hat-trick on his under-21 debut and stole all the headlines, and Adam Lallana, who Jurgen Klopp loves at Liverpool and is very generously priced at 7.1 million, scored the late winner for England in Slovakia. It's been fairly uneventful couple of weeks apart from the deadlines. Certainly Game Week 3 in the Premier League saw Sanchez and Ozil announce their returns for Arsenal at Watford. We'll be touching on that very shortly. Eden Hazard again delivered, as he seems to be doing all this season. Mikel Antonio again, just before his England call-up, scored for West Ham and celebrated being played in his rightful position of right wing instead of being lodged in the defence. And the late signing of Alvaro Arbeloa on deadline day for West Ham seems to confirm that Slaven Bilic finally admits that Antonio belongs on the right wing. What else has happened? There was a lot of penalties, and I think referees have been told to really clamp down on certain aspects of foul play, and as a consequence of that it may mean a lot of penalties at the start of the season. So the likes of, Leighton Baines missed his penalty, but it rebounded in off Shea Given. But Mahrez missed a penalty. There was various penalties around, and that's a trend that's probably going to continue, so bear that in mind. There were blanks for Aguero and Zlatan Ibrahimovic, of course, because over 50% of managers had those two players, so of course they were going to blank on the same week. So the first bandwagon of 4 that I'm going to give you today is Alexis Sanchez. It's a very obvious one. He's played up front for all 3 of Arsenal's games so far, and whilst that run is probably over with the return of Olivier Giroud, he did score 1 and set up 2 of Arsenal's goals at Watford in tandem with Mesut Ozil. And on a personal level, I am using my Wildcard. Every year I promise not to use it early, and then get told every year that, hey, the best players use it early, it's a very smart tactic, etc. And I'm absolutely torn between Hazard, Aguero, etc. They're definitely in, and I can't afford both Sanchez and Zlatan going forward, so it's a really tough choice between the two. But Sanchez does have a very interesting alternative in Mesut Ozil, who's 1.5 million cheaper, and that's very much a battle of, I keep going back and forth on that. It's a battle of explosiveness of Sanchez versus the consistency of Ozil. And if come the end of the season it gives you a similar amount of points, you may as well go Ozil, but we don't know that, of course. So right now there's a lot of big name players delivering and a lot of big name players on our radars, and it's really hard to cram them all in. Some sacrifices are being made, but I would definitely say get on the Sanchez bandwagon because he's Alexis Sanchez. He's the most expensive midfielder in the game. Might not be seen as value for money, but his 2 seasons in English football, he scored 16 and 13 goals. So he's going to guarantee at least a dozen again, as well as some assists, and that may almost justify the price tag. For anyone who thinks that flying to Chile over the international break, long flights, 3 days before the game, etc., would that affect his game time? It doesn't tend to. The last 3 international breaks, when he's gone away with Chile, he's came back and immediately played 80, 90 and 79 minutes for Arsenal. So he should just be back into the swing of things. So for me, definitely get on. Also stay on for Diego Costa at Chelsea. The big risk is, do you want to go double Chelsea? Because you will definitely have Hazard, and Diego Costa does get you goals, but he also gets you a lot of yellow cards and a lot of frustration, and there's always a feeling that there's probably a 5-game FA ban just around the corner with him. But he has had a good start of the season. He's Chelsea's #1 striker in a team that's probably going to challenge for the title, and so therefore 9.5 million actually is quite good value. But as I say, he's already on 2 yellow cards, and you may not want to double up on Chelsea. But I can't, in good conscience, say that you shouldn't get him. I would say get him if you can. One very popular bandwagon that I would stay off possibly is Raheem Sterling. Now, it's for the same reason that basically it could contradict what I've just said about Costa, but do you really want to double up on Manchester City for the inevitable Aguero return in game week 6? Because he does have this 3-game ban, 2 Premier League games, 1 cup game. So Sterling's very awkwardly priced. There's a lot of big hitters who are delivering, and there's a lot of players cheaper down who are attractive. Sterling's that awkward price in the middle. So do you really want to change the whole structure of your team for a man who has been transformed in the Pep Guardiola, but how long is it going to last? He has had a rebirth. He is on 24 points, which is joint second overall so far. But with the returns of Gundogan and Leroy Sané, I don't know how you pronounce it, but there could be some element of rotation with Champions League time here. So I'm not saying he's a bad choice, but I personally would not go near this bandwagon. And I would also stay off Mason Holgate, who has started every game for Everton. He was there for their clean sheet. He even got an assist. And he does have extraordinary good fixtures coming up, but of course the big problem with him, he started off at a very generous 4.5 million. He's already gone up once to 4.6, but Seamus Coleman's back from his injury. And whether Ronald Koeman plays 2 at the back or 3 at the back, like centre backs, you would say Holgate probably isn't a favourite to start either way. So just like Kingsley at Swansea, if you had him, great, but his time's probably up, as good as he's done. So I would definitely stay off that. League games to consider this weekend. We've got the Manchester Derby. So, could that be a bore draw? Could all the big hitters in that game cancel each other out? You got Liverpool versus Leicester. How's that going to go? Liverpool won that game last season, one of the few that Leicester lost. Could it happen again? I don't know. And it's the start of fantastic runs of fixtures for Everton and West Ham. I know I personally, with this wildcard, am greatly debating, as well as Alexis versus Zlatan, which West Ham midfielder to go for. And I think Payet's phenomenal. He's #1 choice, but I can't afford him. I think I'm going to go Lanzini, because Figueiredo's very cheap, but he's in direct competition with Antonio. They cancel each other out. Manuel Lanzini, I think, is an absolute genius, and 6.4 million. I think there's a 3 million price difference between Lanzini and Payet. Do I think Payet will be £3 million better than him? No, I don't. Team of the week. So the defence is basically focused on several fixtures. Petr Cech, because Arsenal are at home with Southampton, and that looks safe. John Terry, James Collins, who in the very short term should keep his place, but I would personally not start getting him in your teams. And George Friend, he's at home to Crystal Palace, and Crystal Palace with Alan Pardew, I don't trust him at all. I have gone for Benteke up front, which could be seen as hypocritical, but I think one of them is going to deliver, surely. Midfield, Sanchez, Hazard, Payet, they all speak for themselves. Josh King is playing for, he's 5.5 million. He scored for Bournemouth a couple of weeks ago. He seems to have a little bit of out of position potential there. He's a very good fourth midfield option for the short term. If your first three midfielders are template-ish players, then you might want to have a little bit of a maverick choice for your fourth, and it could be Josh King. Up front, we spoke about Costa, we spoke about Benteke. The one player who is absolutely, definitely in my wildcard team is Jermaine Defoe. He is fantastic value for 7.1 million. He is going to guarantee at least 15 goals this season, and you know that every time Sunderland score, it will probably be him. He's on penalties, especially with Barini injured. Jermaine Defoe is guaranteed goals, and he's extraordinary value, and he's at home to Everton. Yes, I would absolutely say that. So that was slightly longer this week because we had 2 weeks worth of news to talk about and lots of wildcard ranting. It wasn't really a rant, but a lot of wildcard problems spoken out loud. Leave any comments below if you have any tips for this wildcard, or any tips in general, or any feedback about how low quality this video is. It's very grainy. But anyway, thanks very much for watching. Good luck with this week, and I should see you next week for Game Week 5. Bye.